Yeah, I'm so tired. But here's a bump update. Fat Boy should be coming very soon. So if you are not following me on Instagram, you need to follow me on Instagram because that's where I do all the updates about y'all TikTok nephew. Yeah, I guess I could stop procrastinating because this is going to be a different type of video today. This is a highly requested video. Today's video is a question that I get on the regular. It is how my younger sister passed. First, I want to take the time to say thank y'all. Like, now I have over 100K followers on TikTok who support my sister, who love my sister. I get motivated messages all over my Instagram. Like, sometimes I just go through them and respond. I try to respond to everybody because I'm so thankful. It's not something that is easy for me to talk about, so you had to bear with me during support. So I guess we could just get straight on into this video. So I at this time was currently living in Louisiana. We all stay in Houston, and I was hanging out with some friends that I had met in Louisiana, and I got this phone call from my mom, and I wasn't like in a hurry to answer it, so I kind of just declined it and was like, I'll call her back because I was hanging out and it was loud music, and I was just like, I would just call her back. But something told me, honestly, just step out, take the time, call your mama back and just let her know where you at. So because we was all adjusting to me living 5 hours and 30 minutes away anyway, so it was normal for her to call me. So I didn't think really nothing of it for her to be calling me this late. Keep in mind, it's almost like 12 a.m. So I stepped out and I called her back, and she had this voice that I will never forget. Y'all gotta bear with me when I talk about this because y'all haven't talked about this in a long time, and y'all, I'm almost 8 months pregnant and it's a little difficult for me. I will say, with me being pregnant, I have did well with my grieving process, so please don't worry, the baby is fine, I'm fine. I just know that she sent me my little blessing so I can make it through this world and she can heal my little heart, but that's a whole nother situation and a whole nother conversation for another day. But so I called her and I heard this voice, and it was a voice that I've never heard before, and I immediately started panicking. I just asked her, I was like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? And it's almost like she couldn't get it out. Like, she was hyperventilating. She was loud. I was trying to focus. So I'm holding the phone. I'm like, just tell me. And she like, Journey got into a bad accident. She said, that's all I could tell you right now. I'm on my way there. She got into a bad accident. And 2 of your other family members was in the car. And they're saying right now that she's unresponsive, and my heart just started palpitating out my chest because y'all got to keep in mind that I'm almost 6 hours away from home. And so I get to telling my friends, and I get to panicking, and some just told me, like, just pray. And I'm a very spiritual person. I pray a lot on the regular, but I had never prayed like how I prayed right then and there, because something in my heart just told me, like, this is really, really bad. From the way that she was talking, from the mannerism of the call, from everything. So I just started praying, and I just started praying, and I literally could not get no sleep. So mind you, at this time, I'm a freshman, and a lot of my teammates, they're from Houston, so they kind of like go to Houston a lot, and we would like ride with our teammates down to Houston. So my mom just started saying, like, look for a way to get home. We'll pay anything, but you really need to get home. Hours, we found that this Metro bus was going like literally right downtown, and the hospital that she was in the downtown area. This particular stop wasn't going to get to Houston till like 5:30ish, 5:45. Together as much stuff as I could fit, because it's a certain amount that you can take on the bus. I got up and I got ready and I packed as much stuff and stuffed as much stuff in the bag as I could, and I got on that bus. And during that whole bus ride, it seemed like that bus ride took 10 plus hours. My mind was just racing. I was praying, and I was just like, God, you know, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to see. I didn't know how I was going to be able to cope and how I was going to be able to deal. And within that time, I have two other siblings, which is younger. She was the youngest, but I have two other siblings, and they were texting me and they was calling me, and they was just like crying. It's like you feel like you're not there. You feel like there's nothing you could do. This was like a situation where I feel like there was nothing I could do. So I waited out my time, and I was on pins and needles, but I finally got there. And when I got there, they told me that she was no longer taking any visitors. She had been through a lot of tests and still was going through a lot of tests, and it was a whole bunch of other stuff that they were doing where she couldn't take no visitors. And I don't know, it just crushed me because I really wanted to see my sister right then and there. So the next morning we got up, and sorry y'all, I'm trying to cry. We got up and we went to the store, and we got like these plushies, we got these bears, we got all this stuff to make the room, because everybody thought it was a good idea to make the room how, you know, like her room at home, and to make it feel like home. Finally get up there, and my sister, she's plugged to all this stuff. She has on a neck brace, and she just have a lot of these wires and all this stuff connected to her. And I don't know, that's why I don't question God at all. You know, I don't, because he gave me strength in a time where I thought that I was gonna lose my mind. I instantly just started feeling weak. Like, you know, I started feeling weird, started feeling kind of lightheaded. My fingers was kind of tingling, but I swear it felt like God was in the room with me, because I was like, let me get myself together. My other two siblings wasn't allowed in the back, which is very sad. They didn't even get to see my sister until like the actual funeral, because they was not allowed in the back. We had to FaceTime them. Like I said, they wasn't allowed in the back because they wasn't 18 or older. So that was a sad situation. But you know, within that time, they had told us, like, you know, just spend your time with her. So I go to the back, and I spend, like, it seemed like 30 minutes, but it was hours and hours and hours, to the point where we had to go walk, and we had to go get something to eat. And I was walking with my dad and my mom, and my dad says, you know, you're the oldest, so I'm going to talk to you like you're the oldest. He says, we have to be prepared. And when he said that, that crushed my whole heart. It had me just like, you know, because you don't want to believe something like that. And I'm like, no, like, in the back of my head, I'm like, no, like, she's 7 years old. She got a lot to live for. She has a lot to experience. And I began to ask deeper into, like, what was the situation. And he explains to me that Journey was hit by a drunk driver. The drunk driver did leave the scene, left his car there, and they believe he ran on foot. He knew that he was under the influence, and they were coming down the street, and he just ran the red light, just still going straight, and literally knocked them off the road. As I said, there was two other people in the car, so I began to ask him, you know, how's everybody else? Everybody else was doing all right, but Journey was the only one that was on the machines and everything. So I kind of just was stuck there, thanking God that they were okay, because it could have been easily them and Journey, or, you know, it could have just went a lot of ways. So I was thankful, and I thank God that it was okay. We got the food, and my dad began to talk to me. He said, you know, that's my baby. And my mama was just saying, like, that's my baby. And it was just talking, and like the words was just so heavy. Like, I never felt like that ever in my life. To this day, there's nothing that has shook me or that has did me, or like I have that's happened to me that I felt the way that I felt right in that moment. There's nothing in this world. We got back to the room, and I remember that they all kind of walked out for a second, and it was just me and Journey. This was the last time that I feel like I was talking to her, and like that I can remember without my mind being everywhere. But I was like playing in her hair, and I was holding her hand, and I was telling her that, you know, that I'm proud of her and that I love her and I don't see my life without her. But I did tell her, and I was like, you know, but if you're tired and you're ready to leave this world, I don't know how I'm gonna cope, and I don't know how everybody else is gonna cope, because beyond, y'all only see me, but Journey has a big family. Like, Journey has a big family. It's people that I still meet that knew Journey that I didn't even know, because that's how big and that's how much she impacted people's life within 7 years. And I was like, but if you're tired, I'm gonna try to understand. You know, I'm just trying to wrap my head around all of this, but you know, I just want to let you know that I love you and I'm here, and that I was just talking to her. And so within that time, I had met her nurses, and they were like really, really, really sweet people, really sweet people. And she was asking me about Journey, and she was just asking for videos of Journey. And if you knew Journey, you knew she had a big old personality. So I showed them all types of videos, and they just said that they were just gonna keep running tests on her, and they was gonna update my family, and that's just how that went. So everybody was gathering around, they was praying, they was coming up to the hospital. The doctor came in the room, and he tells us, he's like, well, we're gonna run these tests, these specific tests, and you know, if nothing happens, because we're no longer seeing any brain functioning, then we're gonna have to pull the plug. And my whole family like crushed. At that time, I was silent because I was trying to process. Again, it was all about processing it for me. I was trying to process what was going on. I was trying to understand it. It was all happening so fast to me, and my family was crying, and it was just like a lot. And then I began to realize what was really going on. Myself, you know, if my siblings can't be back here, I'm going to be back here. And I was not going to leave for nothing. No matter how hard it got, no matter what happens, I was not leaving. Unfortunately, there was no type of activity throughout none of the tests. So that was a pretty difficult thing to watch. Honestly, very difficult. And so they came, and then they told us that they were going to take her off the machine. They were like super, super nice, because they did stuff that I didn't expect them to do. Like, they got her last heartbeat, and they put it in teddy bears for everybody. They did her handprint on a piece of paper, then like made it small and put it on necklaces for people and put her name at the bottom. And they was just really, really sweet. That's something that I cherish, because that's something that was very memorable for us. They put her heart into the little sound thing, and they let us keep it. And then they proceeded to go ahead and pull the plug. And they gave us as much time as we wanted. Like, I never imagined myself doing this, but I literally like hopped in the bed with her, and I laid on side of her, and I just hugged her, and I felt like my chest was out, like side of my body. It felt very unreal. It's a very traumatic feeling. It's a very empty feeling. It's a very confusing feeling. It's a very a feeling that I can't explain, no matter how much I try to talk about it or try to explain it to somebody else. Time started to pass by, and people was coming in and out. They laid with her, they hugged her, they held her hand, and to the point where it was dark outside when we left. And they end up coming to get her to transfer her out of the room. My sister and everybody that couldn't be up there at the time, they had to FaceTime to tell the news to. And so we all stood in a room and we prayed, and then my dad called and everybody got the news because they had all met up at my Aunt Myra's house. So many other people that love her and her on the daily, her on a regular, that y'all don't even know about. That, you know, like I said, my family is really big. So to just see my family as a whole struggling and hurting like that, it was very difficult. We went home and it took me forever to go to sleep. I think I cried myself to sleep, if you want me to be honest. It took me forever to go to sleep. I just had so many like things playing in my head, so many memories. I was, again, still trying to process. When stuff happened that's like very traumatic to you, it takes you time to process it. And yeah, it was many breakdowns. It was many long nights. We stayed together, and we ended up having her funeral on Christmas Eve. A lot of people have questions about the man who did it. His name is Pedro Vargas Garcia, and he is still on the run right now. I'm gonna insert a picture of him
because of the cruel and cowardly actions of this man.
And a little bit about the case.
Was partying before causing a fatal crash, killing a 7-year-old girl. Ernie McDaniel was killed in December, and in May, DNA evidence helped Houston police name their suspect. But it wasn't until July when an arrest warrant and charges were finally filed, and now in August, this family is fed up.
He's still on the run right now. It does bother me, but I pray to God and I ask God and I say, you know, make this man remember, make stuff remind him of my sister, make him wake up in the morning and think about nothing but my sister. I feel like when you do something like that and you have to live with it, try to put it in the back of your head, but can you really keep it back there is the real question, because we all have conscience. Hopefully this man have a conscience. That's what I tell myself, at least. But I just pray, and I know that God's in control. We celebrated her year on passing as a family, and that day I found out I was pregnant, and I just had so many mixed emotions. Like, I was just like, what? Like, I was so confused. And honestly, a lot of people just tell me, like, that baby was sent from your sister. Your sister's gonna mark that baby, and she gave you something to heal that heart, because a son is unconditional love that you can't even explain. I was struggling and grieving so bad with my sister's passing. Like, nobody even knows what I have dealt with my sister's passing, because it was kind of just something with me that I didn't talk to nobody about. I didn't understand my own emotions. I didn't understand what I was going through, and it was a lot of dark days for me that I literally faced by myself, because for one, a lot of people are feeling what I'm feeling. For two, it was like, in my mind, I'm thinking like, there's nothing nobody can do for me, so I have to allow myself to feel what I'm gonna feel, and I have to allow myself to go through every stage of grief and be okay. And y'all now are watching me about to give birth to a whole nother life, so like, things have definitely have changed over the time. And I think with me finding out about my pregnancy, I have literally have made myself deal with my grieving a different way, and I think she will be so proud of like my growth watching over us. So that's something that I'm very thankful for. There's a lot of days I do wish she was still here. Like, my heart still mourns, and it's a lot of days that I be like, she has a whole nephew. Like, I wonder how she would be. Like, what if I could have seen this? What if I, you know? And it will drive you crazy, because you would just be so stuck in the what ifs. And so I have my days where I just think to myself, like, you know, what if I could have seen this? Or what if I, you know, what if she would have been around for this? But you know, I just live, and everywhere that I go, I take her name with, and I continue to build on to her name. Like, I'm not letting up. I'm gonna always mention her name. I'm always gonna tell her story. And I thought it was about time that I talked to you guys. And for anybody who's new y'all can stop making assumptions, because I see a lot of things on the internet, a lot of people coming up with different things that's not true, and a lot of things that I see in the comments. It really bothers me, because it's like, y'all don't be knowing what y'all talking about, some of y'all, but I just have to understand it's y'all just curious and y'all just go off of what y'all probably heard or whatever. But if it feels nice to actually be able to finally sit down and talk to y'all about this. A year ago, I couldn't have done this. I couldn't have made a whole video this long without pouring down crying. Like, I have literally, if you go on my TikTok, you will literally watch me do better and better over time. And I was not ashamed to show my tears. I was not ashamed to, you know, be real and raw and uncut with y'all, because I know from just my DMs on Instagram that I helped a lot of people open up. I made a lot of people feel safe, and my TikTok became a whole safe place. And I will never be ashamed of that, or never be ashamed of my stages of grief. But for the most part, that's everything that pretty much happened. And so you guys, that's the story. As of right now, like I said, he's still free right now, and I just pray over that situation daily. And as far as me and my family, again, we thank y'all and we appreciate y'all, and I love y'all. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, and y'all will get to keep up with many other stages of life. Okay, the doll out. Bye.
You know what I'm talking about, 'cause you just get me. Yeah, you so pretty.